What's up, folks? In this video, you're going to learn how to use Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy and a few of our brand new color additives to create a realistic looking natural stone. Following this simple epoxy recipe, you can create and mimic Mother Nature right over your old existing countertops. This project and these colors turn out pretty sick. Stay tuned, enjoy the video.
Today we are going over a 3/4 inch thick piece of MDF. I've painted that with 2 coats of our epoxy undercoater in black. Before mixing, step 1, after that undercoat has dried, you want to sand with 220 grit sandpaper to create a mechanical bond for that epoxy.
The mechanical bond creates tooth for great adhesion.
Just a light hand sanding is all that's needed to create a mechanical bond. Remove the dust with some paper towels. Start with part B first and then pour in part A.
Measure Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy at a 1:1 ratio by volume, not weight.
Using a paddle mixer on a drill, grab that bucket and mix for 2 minutes. It's good practice to keep that paddle mixer from rubbing the sides and the bottom of that bucket while mixing. After mixing for a minute, minute and a half, go ahead and slow the paddle mixer down, rub the sides and the bottom on slow speed.
This incorporates any undermix epoxy clinging to the sides of the bucket.
And then pick it back up to full speed for another 30 seconds or so. We're going to take the mixed epoxy, divide it up into mixing cups, and tint it individually. Folks, we're taking a survey. Let us know in the comments below. How long have you been watching Stone Coat Countertops on YouTube? A, since the beginning. B, about a year. Or C, I'm a newbie. Let us know in the comments below.
This countertop recipe calls for the exotic pour technique, meaning you're going to take your mixed epoxy and divide it up into separate mixing cups. Then you're going to add your metallic additives and epoxy dyes, which will fight each other and make realistic looking techniques.
Wow.
Use a popsicle or paint stick to quickly incorporate the fine particulate metallic powder into the epoxy.
I'm really liking how this olive green is looking. This is one of our 52 new colors. Limited stock available on our website. Give us some feedback. Let us know which ones you want us to keep permanently. And check out this chrome dust. All right, we're gonna take the individually tinted epoxy and pour it back into the larger mixing bucket. You can do this in any random pattern you wish. Sometimes it's helpful to pour the epoxy down the sides of the bucket to keep it from over mixing.
This technique will add a contrasting, vivid element to your exotic pour bucket.
Ooh, look at this green.
Continue adding your tinted epoxy back into the larger exotic pour bucket.
I decided to add a little bit of spray paint to this exotic pour, which is an optional step. I'm using hammered dark bronze and hammered copper.
The Rust-Oleum spray paints found on our website will take the exotic pour project and knock it out of the park. The metallic powders, liquid epoxy dyes, and spray paints all fight one another when you go to pour out the epoxy, creating a sweet countertop.
Okay, that exotic pour bucket is built. It's as simple as that. I mixed up a little black epoxy. I'm gonna use that as my wash coat. What that does is lubricate the exotic pour and help it meld and flow. Just use a mixing stick to help spread that out, or your gloved hand. All right, in any pattern or fashion you wish, pour out that exotic pour. You could go front to back, ring pour, side to side, any way you choose, dealer's choice. Sweet. sit back and let the epoxy do its thing. It's gonna continue to self-level. Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy has an extended open working time. What that means is you have a long time to get this project to look exactly how you want it. To speed up the self-leveling process, warm up the epoxy with a propane torch or a heat gun.
Keep the torch head an inch or two from the surface and keep it moving. You could be closer and slower with a heat gun.
All right, I have a little excess epoxy in my exotic pour bucket. I'm gonna fill in little bare spots and then use the remainder out of my mixing cups and make a miniature exotic pour and give it a real contrasting vein. That is a pretty green. That's liquid chrome if I've seen it. Any bare spots, take your finger, break up that surface tension, and now that epoxy will flow right over. I don't like how this black isn't mixed well, so I'm gonna take my popsicle stick and just incorporate those two together.
Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy has an extended working time. Sit back, have a good time, get this piece just the way you want it. We keep our shop around 72 degrees during the winter, which gives you a good 45 minutes to 1 hour after mixing to work with the epoxy. Here, I'm just picking up scraps and drips off my project to fill any bare spots. Then use your gloved finger to break up any surface tension to help encourage the epoxy to flow. Here, I'm using my gloved hand to rub the edges and ensure an even epoxy coating. The color effects will continue to self-level and flow over, adding detail and beauty back to the edges.
This is exactly why I like using that exotic pour. It takes the guesswork right out of working with epoxy countertops. It's perfect for the epoxy beginners and epoxy pros. The exotic pour does the hard work for you. I absolutely just love how this stacks up. It has different natural looking segments that you would find on a slab of granite. All right, we got a little booger right there. Take your popsicle stick, split it in two. Now you have chopsticks. Grab that little booger. Bye-bye. I'm just gonna hide him. With the tip of my finger, kind of just pull epoxy over itself. Same here. Just hide that polka dot a little bit. To remove the air incorporated into the epoxy while mixing, use a propane blowtorch or a heat gun.
In a sweeping motion, hold the torch head 1 to 2 inches from the surface of the epoxy. Overlap your flame so you don't miss any air bubbles.
The new epoxy additives I used, I'm absolutely in love with them. They're very vivid. They meld really well. They mixed extremely easily. These and more new exciting colors are found at the Epoxy Color Center on our website, stonecoatcountertops.com. All right, if I was gonna go install this in a customer's home, I'd wait till tomorrow. I'd sand with 220 grit and apply the ultimate top coat. That top coat gets you the most realistic look and feel and will make your epoxy project last for decades to come. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's really as simple as it looks. And don't forget, from all of us here at Stone Coat Countertops, you got this. We'll see you on the next video.